Hello, curious minds. Do you have a favorite quote you would like us to cover? Send it to us as a voice note using Facebook Messenger. Contact us at the official Quote Mining Podcast Facebook page. When leaving your message, be sure to include your name, the full quote, why you like it, and permission to use the recording in the episode.
What would you create if perfection wasn't the standard?
Hey, Leslie, how you doing?
I'm good, Ryan. How's it going?
It's going great.
Good.
So what would you change if you stopped trying to get it right?
What would I change? Well, I think my process would definitely change. I think if I wasn't focused on trying to get something right, but was just doing it for other reasons, it would allow me to even relax a little bit. Sometimes when I'm doing something to get it right, it feels like there's so much pressure that I don't always get to enjoy the actual process. And I'm thinking about baking for me. Okay. I know you really love baking, but it's a struggle for me because you have to be so precise. I like cooking because I can just kind of have fun and wing it. But baking, you really have to be precise. And so it requires this attention to detail that I don't always have the patience for, to be honest. Yeah. But you have to, otherwise the outcome is not what you want to eat, right? And so you don't want to do all of that work to not have anything at the end. Sometimes I get so caught up in trying to make sure that my crust is thin enough for the pie that I'm baking that I don't enjoy the process of actually baking something. I usually enjoy whatever I eat, but I don't enjoy that process. So I think if I stopped trying to get it right so much, it would allow me to enjoy a process more. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, in baking too, there is trying to reach perfection, but even a terrible piece of bread tastes good, honestly. But even the bad stuff I've done, I have spent too much of my life trying to get things right. I'm starting to loosen up on that a little bit in terms of focusing on enjoying the process. A lot of time in life can be wasted. I feel life is wasted on trying to be perfect. You know the phrase, C's get degrees.
I don't love that phrase, but yes, I'm familiar with it.
But we do operate that way with Winston, though. We do not care about grades at all, but we do care about effort. So if we feel that he's not putting in the effort, so if he got a D and he put in all of his effort, we're 100% comfortable with that.
Okay.
But if he got a D and it was because he just didn't try, then that's where we get a little fussy with him. What do you and Oscar feel on that?
We're not even going to have a conversation about D's because that's not happening. But we do have some differences, Ryan. We've got some differences. But I think that we do expect for them to put in effort and for their best to be the result. Not necessarily an A, but their best.
But an A minus.
Not to toot my kids' horns, but most times their best should be an A, maybe an A minus. If they're really putting for their best effort. I think what also comes into play sometimes is priorities of where you want to put your attention to. And that is a real thing that we have to deal with in life. Sometimes we do want to prioritize an extracurricular or something else that we have going on. And it can be difficult to deal with the realization that sometimes what I am prioritizing is different than what my kid is prioritizing. And if what they are prioritizing, they are doing their best in, then there's something to be said for that too, right? Grades, I agree. Grades are not everything, even though I joke a little bit. They are a lot in our household, but they're not everything because there is more to life than just chugging along to get a grade. There is a learning process, and sometimes that learning process is difficult. And it doesn't result in you getting in it, but you should still be getting out of that process what you need. And that's the part, I think, going back to the idea of working hard towards something. You want that end goal to be reached successfully.
I think for me, I've seen so many people become successful based on failure. I have a hard time. I feel like I would shoot for the A because I'm an academic and my brain is built that way. But I remember teaching in high school, and it was having a poster in my room that was Michael Jordan, and I don't remember exactly what it said, but it basically was like he was successful because he missed the most shots.
One of those try-hard posters.
Those are real fun. Have you ever seen the sarcastic ones?
Yes, I love those.
Okay, back to the topic. I think there's a lot of truth to it. You can focus on getting perfect in your own mind, but you also have to be willing to fail.
You can't be scared to fail. I agree.
Hello, curious minds.
Welcome to Quote Mining,
the bite-sized podcast where each week we explore where quotes come from by stepping inside
and shining a light around to see what's buried beneath the surface. See how they shape the way we connect and whether they hold up in real life.
I'm Ryan.
And I'm Leslie.
Some quotes shine immediately.
And some require excavation.
We bring the questions.
You bring your curiosity.
Ready?
Let's start mining. Today's quote: have no fear of perfection. You'll never reach it.
That's either incredibly freeing or a little unsettling, like being told the finish line doesn't exist, but you should still run.
We use Salvador Dalí's quote because it challenges the idea that perfection is something to achieve. Instead, it reframes perfection as an illusion, something that motivates effort but can never fully be obtained.
And Salvador Dalí was known for surrealism, art that bends reality, distorts expectations, and challenges logic. So it makes sense that even his perspective on perfection feels slightly off-center. He isn't saying don't try. He's saying don't be afraid of something that doesn't actually exist. And yet in modern culture, perfection is everywhere. We talk about perfect outcomes, perfect timing, perfect execution. We build entire systems around optimizing for something Salvador Dalí suggests we can't reach.
So then are we agreeing that perfection is unreachable? And does it feel like the standard?
People think they know what it is, and they are trying to reach it. I think our culture, intelligence, there's definitely standards that have been set culturally, or they might just be independent in your own mind, but they're definitely there. For the most part, they are unreachable, because even when you get to the point that you feel it's not a pretty path to get there. Have you ever seen the little meme that's the path to success, and then there's a straight line, and then the true thing is
the squiggles?
Like,
yes. Yeah.
And life is the squiggle.
Yeah, I agree. And I agree with your stance, especially with your examples of beauty and intelligence, because we do have those standardized tests for intelligence, right? And people do want those perfect scores. And then the beauty industry, the amount of money that people spend to try to look a certain way, that for some folks never obtain the exact look that they're reaching for. And for others, even when they attain it, it's only going to last for a second, and then even that has to continue to be chased because it will not last forever.
It's fleeting. When I go get my haircut, I show the hairstylist a picture, and I'll say, no, I don't look like him. But that's the haircut.
That's what you want. Make me like this.
See this guy here? Magic, do your best. This is your canvas.
But that's the truth. We sometimes have these ideas of what is going to happen when they spin us around and show us the mirror, and we're right, I'm still me. That's right. There's only so much you could change on this canvas. But that's the reality of all facets of life. There's only so much that is in our control. There's only so much even that we can manipulate, even when we want to try to control more. And then we have to account for the bumps and bruises, which are all those little squiggly lines that lead us to, and it's important that we're saying the word success, not perfection. And when I teach my students, I always tell them, we are aiming for a polished version of yourself. We are not aiming for perfection. And I think that takes pressure off and allows for individuality to be celebrated instead of feeling you have to conform to something that you might not ever achieve.
Well, going back to the communication side of it, when you're looking at someone and their public speaking style, they can take tidbits of what that person might be able to do in front of an audience, but you will never be able to do what they can do. I can't do what a stand-up comedian does. I can take elements of what they have, but they're a different person. They have a different cadence to their voice and the content that they're going to be doing. I've had the most shy people give some of the best speeches on Dungeons and Dragons that I've ever heard, and they were super shy, but they were very passionate about that topic of Dungeons and Dragons. I don't even know anything about Dungeons and Dragons, but I do now.
All I know is from what I've heard from speeches.
Isn't it weird? Do you get a lot of speeches on Dungeons and Dragons? I do too. I thought it was just me.
No, they're like, she needs to learn about this. She's missing out.
Is perfection actually helping us move forward or quietly keeping us in place?
I think that for some, it can be a motivating factor. I think it really does depend on the person. I don't think that this question or the answer to this question fits well for everyone. I think that there are folks that get stuck because it feels too much pressure. And so they just stop trying because they just don't feel they can ever get there. It feels too far away. And I think there are other folks that it really does motivate them to be as close as they can be, knowing they'll never actually get there. I mean, we do have perfectionists in this world that will try, and try again. Sometimes to the point where someone externally has to say to them, I think this is the best it's going to be, right? Let's move on to something else, which also speaks to the importance of having the people around you that can see you for who you are and be able to tell you when this is good and you actually trust their opinion, especially for perfectionists. I think that's really important because otherwise they'll just continue digging down on whatever it is that they're focused on, and it'll never be good enough.
I remember watching the first or second season of American Idol. And the first week that it's on, it's just these people that they're terrible. Who are they surrounding themselves with that tells them that they should go on this adventure and sing in front of a bunch of people? But at the opposite side, you don't want people to just not try. I don't know where they're... I've had a couple of things where I don't know where the line is because you don't have to be the best in the world to sing. And you might never reach perfection. You might not be like Mariah Carey or something, but you might still have a level of singing. Bob Dylan sings. He made a whole career out of it.
Yes, exactly. I think you're right. I mean, sometimes it does take a level of audacity, and sometimes you are a good enough entertainer that your voice does not have to be diva level, but it's still good enough. And because of some of the other things that round you out, it works. I think that by and large, we have to have the people around us that can help shine a non-distorted mirror in front of us. We need people that are going to show us who we really are. And that includes, if this is something we want to do, then put in the work and the effort to get there, to get better. Not to be perfect, but to get better. But to just tell someone that they're good at something and they're not, that does a disservice to everyone. So when Dalí says, have no fear of perfection, maybe he's not dismissing effort. Maybe he's removing the pressure tied to an impossible outcome. Because if perfection isn't reachable, then mistakes aren't deviations. They're part of the process.
And that shifts the goal. Instead of asking, is this perfect? You should be asking, is this done? Is this honest? Is this mine?
What would you create if perfection wasn't the standard?
And how much of what you're holding back is waiting on something that was never possible to begin with?
Maybe perfection was never meant to be reached.
Maybe it exists just far enough away to keep us moving, but not so close that we confuse it for the point.
This has been Quote Mining.
explore what we say,
so we can keep moving.
even when perfect isn't possible.